What's up, y'all? It's a huge supersized edition of the Desmond Johnson Show as we wind down our season. This is our season finale week, so I had to pull in some heavy hitters. The champions are here. Jalen Gilkey from WFMY News 2 Sports in the house. B-Dot, brand new Power 98 personality down in Charlotte. B-Dot in the house. And I had to go grab PJ Harrison, former UNC star, Hooper, and Charlotte Hornet draftee in the house for the first time on Desmond Johnson Show. Yo, what in the world happened last night in the NBA draft lottery? The Dallas Mavericks, a 1.8% chance of getting the number one overall pick, get the pick, and our Hornets end up with the fourth pick after we went through an entire season of basically tanking. We're going to talk about that. We got two teams that can actually clinch their series tomorrow, up 3-1. We're going to talk who has the better chance of doing that. We might get some Jayson Tatum information here. Of course, he suffered a lower leg injury last night, and that lost to the Knicks. We're loaded. It's the NBA edition. If you want to chime in, you can. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. Let's go. It's the Desmond Johnson Show. Let's roll that intro.
Live with Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
Yeah, welcome to the Carolinas. Everywhere you go, the sky is Carolina blue, the finest. Live action, feedback, the city need that. I've been number one, no cap. Here's the recap. Adrenaline is my addiction. I'm about to relapse. Step on the turf if you won't and get your weed whacked. I'm going harder than a martyr on the starter end. It's the heart of man, that's a rap like a cardigan. I'm breaking records, it's fourth and inches, I count the seconds. The over-under's my roar of thunder, my secret weapon. Yeah, the game is to be told. I don't break, I break modes. Follow me on Tobacco Road.
Live with Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
And welcome into a Tuesday edition of the Desmond Johnson Show. I've got my guys running around all over the tribe. PJ's in the car, B-Dot's in the car, Jalen is chilling in the cut, and I'm in the studio here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, tobaccoroadsportsradio.com. I've been wanting to bring PJ on for a while just to get your basketball acumen with the NBA playoffs going on. I'm glad we were able to link up today. Didn't realize you and B-Dot know each other. I should have known that because B-Dot knows everybody. So I should have known that you and B-Dot were I should have known I already knew each other. So I got B-Dot on mute because he's in the car. But what I want to do before we get into the NBA playoffs, while everybody's opening up their Lunchables or their cubicles, getting ready for lunch or whatnot, watching the show, we got to address the NBA draft lottery. Because I've seen folks saying, oh, the NBA's rigged and this and that and the third. I don't think it's rigged, but I do think that the NBA does not care for the Charlotte Hornets. Like they don't care what happens to Charlotte, like whatsoever. Like even because I was seeing somebody going, "Oh, this is rigged. The Hornets should have got the pick, and they didn't. They gave it to Dallas. Charlotte's a small market." I'm like, if it was rigged, when Michael Jordan owned the team and David Stern was still the commissioner, wouldn't they have probably helped us land a Dwight Howard or Anthony Davis or whatever during those situations where we had the second pick or the third pick and should have got the first pick? It just, PJ, I want you to open this up here. Being a former draftee of the Charlotte Hornets, and you know the history of the Hornets from growing up in North Carolina and just seeing the pain that the fan base has gone through in terms of trying to get a number one pick. We only have one in our entire history. And that was Larry Johnson in 1991. And we've come so close since then. We've missed out on Shaq. We've missed out on Dwight Howard. We're about to miss out on Cooper Flagg. PJ, your thoughts here, because the Hornets, not only did they not get the number one pick, they dropped down to fourth in a draft that many consider pretty much a three-man draft. So if you're the Hornets, what do you do at number 4 at this point here? Let's just address the Hornets so we can get them out the way.
I don't know what you do. I honestly, like, I don't know, because VJ Edgecombe is not the answer. Because that's what everyone's projecting, and don't get me wrong, he's a great talent, but that's not the fit for him. I feel like they need to get someone that'll be okay with coming off the bench and complimenting LaMelo, Brandon Miller, and Bridges, unless they're going to get someone to put it that 4th position where Cooper Flagg would have been.
Yes.
So
that's the problem.
So like, either you trade that 4th pick to someone else for a certain player or player. I don't know.
Well, let me open this up to Jalen and B-Dot then, because the main thing that's been going around the past 24, 48 hours that I've been seeing, and I'm going to bring this around to Giannis. And at the end of this episode, I have this segment called Legacies, and I want us to kind of talk about legacies in the NBA, like, because we're starting to see a generation kind of start to fade and a new era start to take over. And the last time I can remember that in my lifetime was probably like early 2000s, 2001, 2002, 2003, when like Patrick Ewing and Jordan and all that group from the late 80s into the 90s started to retire. We're starting to get there now with the LeBron, Curry, KD, Harden, Westbrook, that group of guys. So we're gonna get to there in a second. But I want to talk about Giannis. Because Giannis has mentioned that he's open to looking around or whatnot and seeing what's out there. The Bucks haven't gotten out of the first round in the past 3 years. He's 30 years old. He's due like 160 million, I think, over the next 3 years on this contract. He signed a Supermax a couple years ago. Jalen, if you're the Dallas Mavericks, would you put a package together and trade that number 1 pick to Milwaukee for Giannis?
I don't think so. I don't know if Giannis, I mean, I know you have to move the pieces around. I don't know if Giannis and AD, spacing-wise, that's going to work. I know AD wants to be a little bit more out on the perimeter. And then you got Kyrie, who's going to be out next year, ball-dominant guard. Giannis, he like to pound that rock. So I don't know if he fits in. I think Cooper Flag fits in as a better piece to project out in the future if you're Dallas than Giannis does right now. I think a team more like San Antonio that has Wembanyama, but he's not like certified. He's a superstar, but he's not someone whose legacy cemented with winning yet. So I think in addition of a bona fide winner, MVP like Giannis coming in there, I think that'll kind of do a little bit better because he can have his imprint take over kind of more of the DNA of the program. Now, when you go to Dallas, you got guys that have already won, and I don't know if his personality is going to mesh in well with kind of one that was more established guys. So I think if I'm Dallas right now, I think the only piece that I'm looking to trade possibly Cooper Flag for, and that number 1 pick, I mean, I know it's not Cooper Flag yet, but that's what it's going to be.
It's going to be Cooper, yeah.
Right. I would think maybe we could look at Phoenix and see if they want to move off either Booker or KD. I think those fits might be a little bit better for Dallas than a Giannis would be. But then again, that's more of a right now play instead of a future play. Like you get Cooper Flag, you're looking at a solid 10-year window. So you make a move for a Giannis or a KD or a Devin Booker. That's a play for this year, next year, maybe 2027 max.
Yeah, I don't like this narrative that we've come up with where's Kevin Durant going next? Where I'm like, every place he's been, he's never really led any of these teams anywhere except for OKC way back in the day. The Golden State stuff, he kind of was on their coattails. What has he done since he left Golden State? So like whenever I see people go, well, if you add Kevin Durant here, or you add him in Houston, or you add him here, then that takes him over the top. I'm like, that didn't work when they were saying that in Phoenix.
And that's why that's why I think Dallas would be a better spot because it's got guys that have already won.
True, yeah, and they've gotten there without him.
Identity already, not together as a tandem or a pair, but they already understand what it takes to win the chip. And so Kevin Durant, you don't need Kevin Durant to come in and say, "I'm going to show you guys how to get to the finals or get to the promised land," but he can just kind of be that cherry on top, be like, all right, everybody do their thing, and I'm gonna just fill in and kill when it's crunch time.
So, Dot, your thoughts on the Giannis situation? Now, I'm pretty sure that the Bucks would not make the same mistake they did before with Jrue Holiday and trading him within the Eastern Conference, because that went back to bite them in the butt in the end. They probably would trade him West, although I think Giannis would be better off staying in the East if he went anywhere, because the West is starting to get top heavy with all these stars coming over to the West. If you're the Mavs, do you entertain a Giannis trade, or do you just go with Cooper Flag and put him with Kyrie and AD and kind of go from there? Oh, you're muted. I can't mute you on this end. Oh, no, we lost. Well, he'll be back in a minute. He's moving back forth, moving Zay right now. Bringing back PJ Harrison and Jalen Gilkey here on the Desmond Johnson Show as we talk about this Giannis situation. I don't know. I think he'd be better off staying in Milwaukee. Like, PJ, your thoughts on the movement of these NBA stars in this generation that kind of got kicked off with LeBron James and those guys. Your thoughts on all the constant movement, does it make you look at this generation differently than like the generations like we grew up with that basically kind of stayed with the same teams?
I mean, with certain players, like when you look at somebody like Giannis and you look at somebody like Dame, when they've been in a certain spot for so long, they're like Giannis. He won a ring, but he wants another one. So I feel like if Giannis goes anywhere, I was watching First Take and I was listening to them talk about it, and somebody, I think it was Monica McNutt, made a point. She was like, which team is the closest out of those teams that and Houston stood out the most because Houston is the closest to being a championship contender out of what Dallas, San Antonio, and it was Dallas and San Antonio.
Yeah.
But out of those three teams, Houston is the team. And granted, yes, you could trade that first pick, for Cooper Flag and get Giannis in Dallas. But like you said, you had a point. But also to that point, it also depends on who they trade. Because if you trade Cooper Flag, that first pick, you can get a Daniel Gafford, you can get another big. That way, you can get Giannis, and you can play Giannis and AD at the 4 and 5, and Derek Lively will be your backup 5, which is insane.
That's big. That's big.
Yeah. Then you got to think certain games, Giannis. So you can put Giannis at 3 because he can play the 3. And then you could have AD and Lively, just depending on who they're playing. Like, say they're playing Minnesota, who plays a double big.
Yeah, that's gonna be like the tallest
team
on earth.
And they're in the West. And you got to think, OKC does a double big too. They got 2 7-footers, so they'll match up better with a lot of teams. And now teams are going to have to build against their scheme.
Yeah, and I like how you mentioned that too, PJ, because those teams were built specifically to beat other teams. Like that Minnesota team was built to beat Denver. Like that Dallas team was kind of built to beat Denver, and now they're kind of situated where they match up really well against each other. But for the rest of the league that was playing small ball for so long, they don't know what to do with like Minnesota or with the Denver or with the Dallas when they're healthy, because they've got all these long 7-foot dudes that are clogging up the lane and can actually defend. Like they can actually go out and defend out to the 3-point line.
And that's why I also thought, the thought of him going to San Antonio isn't a bad thought either, because him and Wemby, no one to get layups. So, like there's no easy basket. Like you'll have to literally beat them with jumpers, because if he's going to end up somewhere in Texas. That's how I feel.
And that everything's bigger in Texas.
It's also no tax.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So
we got from Florida too. Same way. The Heat could be an option. You know how Pat Riley rolls. He's going to have a star in there eventually. So now we got Dot back on here. I'm gonna let you lead off this next segment here, and that's the 2 teams that won last night. The Knicks, who played fantastic against the Celtics. The Celtics are in trouble. They are in danger right now, down 3-1. And then on the other side, the Timberwolves, the Golden State Warriors are just trying to hold on. They're just trying to basically wait for Steph to get back. Just saw earlier this morning, Steph Curry already said he will not be available for Game 5. He can't get right fast enough to do it. So, Dot, I want to ask you, who has the best chance to advance on Wednesday, the Knicks or the Timberwolves, considering they're both playing teams where they're dealing with a major star injury on both sides?
I'm going to go with the Timberwolves has a better chance of advancing, man. That Ant Edwards is just a dog. And although I love what Jalen Brunson and the Knicks are doing right now, that series is going back to Boston. And even with no Jayson Tatum, the depth of the Celtics, man, like they got too much star power. Like they gave $300 million to JB. Like they got Porzingis. They got Pritchard. They are deep. Like I think they still have enough weapons in the shed to beat the Knicks. The Golden State Warriors, even with a healthy Steph Curry, they still were gonna be fighting for their lives, dog. Like, and Ant-Man is just he's unlike anything we've seen since, like, low-key, since that Kobe type, like that Mamba, like I'm the best player on the floor. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. I'm going to cross both of y'all up at half court and shoot a half court buzzer beater in the first half just to let you know that none of y'all can mess with me. Like,
and then
he's
talk
playing,
walking off the court. Yeah.
bro, like he's playing like tiers above anybody on Golden State's roster. Like, I literally don't think they have a chance. Even if Steph Curry miraculously shows back up, I think they'll ride that wave for a couple of quarters. But Ant Edwards is the X factor, man. Like, no, I don't think they're gonna. I think this series is over. Now the Celtics, I think the Celtics still got a little bit of dog in the fight, man. Like, and I know I might just be biased because I just don't really believe in the Knicks right now, or maybe I'm overly sold on the Celtics just from the resume of work they've done all season. But I still think the Celtics got enough to win this series against the Knicks.
Before Jalen, and we're waiting on PJ. He had to hop out the car for a second, so I took him off the screen. Before I let Jalen answer that question too, let me say this. And if people that know me, they know this. I hate the Boston Celtics. I've hated them since I was a child. I grew up a Laker fan, so in the 80s. So it was always Lakers versus Celtics. So I've grown up with that hate to begin with. This version of the Celtics, I really hate because of how they play. Like, they launch like 63s a game. Like, to me, it's like it's not even basketball. Like, when I'm watching it sometimes. So like when they're hitting, they're almost impossible to beat. But when they're not hitting, you get a situation like this where you're down 3-1 in the series. Jayson Tatum, again, suffered the lower leg injury last night. We haven't gotten word on what exactly it is. He's scheduled for MRI today. He will not probably be playing probably the rest of the series or the rest of the playoffs for that matter, which not only changes Boston's outlook for this year, but going forward too. So Jalen, I serve that up. Out of the two teams that are up 3-1 tomorrow, Knicks, TWolves, who you think's got the better chance of advancing to the conference finals?
Yeah, I think I agree with Dot on this one. I think Minnesota's probably going to fare the best on Wednesday night when it comes down to Game 5, just because of the fact that Golden State looks defeated, they look depleted, and I know it's a team full of winners and guys that have technically been around championship basketball. But honestly, when you look out there and you see Kuminga, who's playing pretty well, but you got Moses Moody, you got Pudzinski, you got guys that really haven't been there on that big stage trying to take up and replace the greatest shooter of all time, Steph Curry. I don't think that's a formula for success. Now in Boston, a battle-tested team that's been in the Eastern Conference Finals, I think basically every year since Jaylen Brown has been drafted.
Yeah, 6 years. I think they've been in 7 years, 6 years in a row, something like that.
7 out of 8 or 6 out of 7, something like that. But pretty much every year since Jaylen Brown, except for one, has been drafted, they've been to the Eastern Conference Finals. So this whole roster is made up of guys that know how to play the right way, know how to play, get the job done. They had a winning record this season when Jayson Tatum was out. I think they'll probably be they'll change their game plan without Tatum. I think they'll have a little bit more of a attacking style, a little less pick and roll, and a little bit more of an attacking style instead of that 1-4, instead of that one high ball screen, pick and roll, jacket 3 that they've been running basically for the last 3 years or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I just think their veteran leadership will be able to at least get one game. Now, I do think the Knicks will still win this series just because of the circumstances. But I do think I think Boston has a better chance than Golden State to at least win one more game in the series. For sure.
Yeah.
Can I say something too, Desmond? Can I just jump in real quick and just say,
yeah, go ahead.
By Steph being out, it really shows their lack, and I know I've heard Chuck and them talk about this, but the lack of a point guard, man. Like the Golden State doesn't have any. Yes, they have people that can bring the ball up the court, but they don't have anybody that can get them into an offensive set, especially in the half-court offense. And they are really missing out on getting rid of Chris Paul. When they had CP and could bring CP off the bench to them to steal some minutes, this right now would be the perfect scenario for CP3. Being the point guard on that team. Because like Jay just said, Kuminga's playing out of his mind. He's playing some great basketball right now. But again, when you got Draymond got to bring the ball up the court, or Gary Payton got to bring the ball up the court, every time Ant Edwards sees Gary Payton across from him, he sees food. Every time, dog. Every time, dog. So, yeah, they need a point guard bad.
I never want to write Golden State out just because, we've done that before and it's come back to haunt us. But, yeah, this one, the Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards is turning into the legend killer. like like that old Randy Orton thing where he would go around beating up Mankind, throwing him off cages or whatever. He's gonna gone through LeBron. Last year they beat the Nuggets. This year they're about to probably win this series and take out Steph.
LeBron and Luka.
LeBron and Luka. Like
KD got
hey,
KD up out of here. Got
the team game.
Joker up out of here. Like and Edwards is tough.
And I love his mentality because, like you mentioned that Kobe Mamba mentality, that Jordan type, like I'm going to kill everybody in front of me. He's the only person I can think of.
He got that PJ Harrison in him right there.
That dog, got that dog.
Yeah,
where he's just like he's going to take everybody out.
I really believe like if Kobe was still alive to this day, I really believe like he would have Anthony Edwards in his hands. Like,
oh yeah. He'd be wearing Kobe's. Like, yeah, he would be
like
kind of the way him and Kyrie were. Yeah.
Like, I think they would because their games are so identical. Like, between him, Kobe, and Michael Jordan, obviously Kobe got it from Jordan, they whatever you want to call it. I just feel like Anthony Edwards is just a way more explosive and athletic version of them two.
Well, yeah, and he ain't even put it all together yet. How old is Anthony Edwards? Like
23.
23?
23.
Like
he's 23. He's 23 and already a top 10 player in the league.
Yeah, and he knocking on top 5 like right now. Like if they get through this Golden State series 4-1, and then they're gonna play who?
OKC or Denver.
Yeah, which
I feel like SGA though. I want to see Ant versus SGA. I want to see that
because he's gonna take that pass.
I'm still waiting to see SGA this round.
You know, Ant is gonna guard SGA. He wants that matchup.
That's what I love about him. He always picks out the best player to guard.
And
like,
that's why he'll always be a top 5 player in the league because he can play both sides of the ball and very effectively.
Who did you think, PJ, between tomorrow between the Knicks and the Timberwolves with everything going on with Steph hurt, Tatum obviously going to be out? Which squad has the best chance to advance to the conference finals on Wednesday night?
Well, Indiana's definitely moving on.
I didn't want to bring Indiana up, but yeah.
I'm gonna be the one to break that one. Indiana's gonna go ahead and seal that thing up for Cleveland because you got Donovan Mitchell hurt his ankle too, so he's not gonna be 100%.
Yeah, so, I think he's gonna be out. Yeah, actually, they said game time decision, but I mean, he didn't even play. So he didn't come out second half.
If it's game time decision, that means he don't know because it's still hurting. so I don't think Cleveland really. I mean, obviously they have a chance. They're the number 1 seed in the East. So I'm not gonna say they don't have a chance, but if Indiana.
Are they paper champs? Like one of these joints, like Atlanta was like that a couple years back, where they were like a 60
and that's who they're comparing them to.
At least Atlanta got to the Eastern Conference Finals, though.
They ran to LeBron. Yeah, they ran to LeBron the Cavs.
Right,
but you got to think the last 15 years, that's everybody's excuse in the East. I ran in LeBron.
True. Ain't nobody making that excuse in the West. Ain't nobody making that excuse. They're like, come on, let's play the Lakers real quick. So it's a little different. But Knicks TWolves. So of course you got the injury to Jayson Tatum. We still don't know yet. We was thinking it might drop while we're sitting here live, but lower leg injury, didn't look good, non-contact, rumors maybe ruptured Achilles. I don't like really talking about injuries like that because we don't know for sure, but it looks like he's gonna be ruled out. And again, this is something people need to think about. The Celtics payroll next year is like $500 million or something crazy. And they have new ownership. You got 2 guys making like $300 million per, like, or not per, but $300 million in their contracts, like with Supermaxes on your team. This is probably the last time we see the Celtic roster the way it is, especially if Tatum's got to miss a year next year and they're gonna pay $500 million payroll.
I got a real crazy take on this whole Celtic situation, and tell me if y'all think I'm wrong. I have a real crazy take. I say if Jayson Tatum is now gonna miss the whole season next year, I feel like they'll go get rid of Jaylen Brown, trade him somewhere for some good assets. They're probably gonna. I'm not gonna say they're gonna tank. I'm not, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were in the top 10, top 5 pick next year, and they get somebody to compliment Jayson Tatum when he comes back 100%.
So I said something similar last night, right? After Tatum got hurt, right? I said, look, He gonna miss all of next year. I said,
Yo.
I said if they keep JB, he'll keep him like in the play-in, and they could end up like Dallas and end up with the first pick. I said, because that's how Boston do. Boston
That's
always got some trade.
that's
you
a
know-
lot of money.
I was gonna say, the NBA would be fine with, Boston needs a number 1 pick. Hey, let's just go ahead and the 2027 number 1 overall pick goes
And what's
to
really
Boston.
gonna break them at the bank is that Derek White deal they just did. That Derek White deal gonna really break.
They can't pay everybody.
That's why you have to get rid of Jaylen Brown.
Yeah. And see, that's
You
the sad
get
thing,
rid of-
because this team was built for now, like to win titles now. And now we're sitting here, they haven't even lost the series yet. We're sitting here talking about breaking them up and like what's going on.
I'm gonna be real. Drew Holiday and Jaylen Brown are gone.
I think Drew Holiday gonna retire.
He ain't doing it.
That's a hot take.
Jalen Brunson has him on the fryer right now.
He can't go out like that. He can't go out like that.
He might have a choice.
He's going with JB. That way, their white contract don't look that bad. Then you can pay somebody, a good role player to come in and play in that JB spot just until Jayson Tatum get healthy. Maybe that person come back the year later. Maybe not. But then you have those draft picks. You got that trade that'll help you.
Yeah, maybe
I'm sitting there thinking, who has draft picks? Who has pick? OKC.
A lot of young
OKC has draft picks.
OKC has a lot of draft picks.
They're up to like 2031, something crazy.
Yeah. I think Houston does too.
It's crazy.
So I want to segue that into our final segment for the day. B-Dot was traveling just like PJ is, so if he pops back in, I'll get him back onto the stage. But I was talking about earlier in the show, I want to talk about legacies, because all of us, the three of us that are on here right now, we're all old enough to where we've seen the careers of the guys I have mentioned down the bottom of the screen: LeBron James, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant. All of them former league MVPs. All of them in the twilight of their careers right now. All of them in different stages or whatnot. And we've seen some of them, like Westbrook. We've seen Westbrook go through it, like in terms of his career, where he's been. He's been the scapegoat at a couple places, and now he's kind of a little bit of a resurgence with Denver, coming off the bench. And I watched him. Who was it he locked down the other night?
SGA had him clean.
Yeah. It was SGA. Yeah. He just like playing defense like this. Like, yo,
it's just me and you out here.
Yeah, out here on the playground, above the rim. Like, it felt like he's trying to do his thing. But I'm sitting there looking through all these names, and I'm gonna start off with LeBron. Is LeBron hurting his legacy by continuing to play? Because it feels like now it's starting to get to a point where it's like, all right, he seems like he's kind of conceded the whole Jordan LeBron debate, because he knows he's not going to get the 6, probably. Like in all odds, he's probably not going to get the 6 at least, and that's he needs at least 5 to kind of even get into the category with Kobe and Magic, in my opinion. But he's probably not going to get there. He's got everything else. He's going to be top 10 pretty much every major category there is, if not top 5 by the time, if he does decide to retire tomorrow. Does it hurt his legacy to keep playing, or do you think LeBron should retire after year 21 that he just finished, and he's got another? Now, he does have a player option for $52 million next year, so I don't even know if this is even really a debate if he's going to play or not. But the question is, should he go ahead and just move on to the next stage of his life, or should he continue to play till the wheels fall off? PJ, I'm going to ask you.
I say he should retire if he feels like he has to come back and average 27 points a game.
Yeah,
I feel like if he feels like he can take the back seat and kind of like, obviously still be a starter, but give the keys to Luka. It's kind of like what he did in the beginning when Luka first got there, but I don't know, because it all depends on what they do in free agency and over the summer too. So
yeah. Jalen, your thoughts?
I was a diehard Kobe guy coming up, right? So I always, and naturally that automatically meant I was anti-LeBron, right? So the older and the more mature I got, and as his career continued to progress, and I'm just sitting there, I'm like, yo, by year like 18, I was like, all right, this guy's ridiculous. And I started to gain more of an appreciation for who he is as a basketball player, who he is as an athlete. So I wouldn't say he should retire. I do like PJ's point though. If he feel like he got to score 25 plus a night, then that's an uphill battle.
like you said, at 41.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I'm surprised he was doing it this year.
That's way too much. That's way too much of a load to have to carry. And then, especially if they don't have a centerpiece defensively, where you got to lead the team defensively as well. Like he's 26, 27 years old.
Yeah, because Luka ain't playing
Go out
defense.
there and
Like,
score 25 a night because
Yeah.
Luka's a liability on the defense.
he ain't playing D. He
And it's
ain't
like-
playing D.
But you also got to think about LeBron's body. Like, yeah, he pays this $2 million a year for his body, but at the end of the day,
the miles add up, man.
Right, they got to, right?
Like, you're 41, bro. Like,
Like, what is happening?
Like
why-
at the end of the day, you're still 41. So like you see like those little nagging injuries, you get like the little groin injury, like the little ankle injury.
Bro,
Like
hey,
those at his age take a little bit longer to actually heal.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
opposed
let me
to
say, hey,
as opposed to like Wemby or Anthony Edwards spraining their ankle in the first quarter and they back out there
Like
the end
2
of the
days
second.
later, yeah.
So I don't know.
It was like what happened. It was like what happened. Was that Game 5 or whatever when he talking about he sprained his MCL when bro ran into his leg and he
Yeah.
he sprained his MCL. I'm like,
How,
he
when
was
we just
rolling
find
around
this
on the
out
floor like
after
he
the
was
game?
shot. I was like, Brian, dog, get up, man. Like,
Have you seen the one where he's like laying on the ground?
41.
Have you seen the one where he's laying on the ground? He's looking
I
around. She's like,
sprained my
looking
MCL I sprained my MCL in my 20s. It ain't as bad as he made it seem at 41. I promise.
See, and I'm a lifelong Laker fan. So like I come from this two-way and I follow LeBron everywhere he's been. I've been a LeBron James fan since he came into the league, and I've just gone wherever he's been. Oh, you're with the Heat now? I'm cheering for the Heat. Oh, you're back in Cleveland? Cheering for Cleveland. Oh, you finally made it to my Lakers. All right, let's do this. But now I'm at a point where I'm like, it's almost hindering the Lakers to keep him there. Like it almost feels like they're still making plans off of LeBron's going to be here, as opposed to Luka. We need to figure out how to keep Luka here and build around Luka and go that route.
You got to be real though. The Lakers haven't really gone anywhere, done anything since that last chip.
They really haven't. And really, if you look at the entire time LeBron has been with the Lakers, they've, other than the Disney ring, they haven't really done much of anything. They got to the Western Conference Finals was it last year, year before last. They played Denver 2 years ago, and then they've been first round or play-in like ever since. So like his team's attributes have gone down over the past 5 or 6 years, while he's been collecting individual accolades, all-time leading scorer, all that kind of stuff. LeBron is permanently top 3, top 5 all time. I've come around on the whole thing of saying that he might be the best all-around player I've ever seen, but he's not the best player I've ever seen. That's still Jordan. Like Jordan was a different thing. It was just different. You can't really explain it now the further away we are, but it was just different watching it. And then I did right now, Michael Jordan's going to be back on NBC. They announced he's going to be in some way, shape, or form part of the NBA on NBC telecast, which I don't know how it's going to go. PJ, you know the man. You were drafted by this team. Are they getting the Michael Jordan that you would talk to like in the locker room or the hallway, or are they getting the Michael Jordan that we see like in the commercial? Because I've heard that's two different MJs that you're dealing with there.
I'm thinking more so commercial, MJ.
Yeah.
I mean, because obviously everyone's different outside of in their own personality when they're at home. So like it's a little bit different, but I mean it's MJ. So at the end of the day, I feel like he'll give off the energy he wants everyone to have. So.
What is he going to be doing? I can't even figure out.
I want to know what that check looked like.
For them to get it, yeah.
Michael Jordan about his seat to come on.
No, yeah, for sure. For him to get on TV and talk,
because they'll never do stuff like that. They're gonna have like MJ's corner or something it's gonna be just him smoking a cigar.
He gonna be sitting in that same chair he was sitting in on that documentary.
Yep. Giving out parlays, giving out all these different parlays for y'all to use today. The rest of the names I got down at the bottom. There was a time, y'all, and Jalen, you were part of the rundown crew before we finished up a couple years back, when Harden was in Houston and was killing folks. And there was a debate that James Harden might be the third best shooting guard of all time. And now I look back on it like that was silly of us to even even entertain that when Dwayne Wade is still existing on this earth. Like Harden, for some reason, he's allergic to game sevens. I don't know what it is. Like something happens to this dude in game 7 where he just disappears. And that has affected his legacy a lot. I spoke about Westbrook before, Curry and Durant. Now, Curry is the only one on this list I feel like has an opportunity to elevate beyond where he is now. Like I've had him borderline top 10 all time in my list since the last title in 2022. As soon as he won that 4th one and won that Finals MVP that he didn't have, I was like, okay, I can't keep Steph out of my top 10 at this point. He changed the game. Like he's literally changed the way people play basketball. at all levels. Like when I do these high school games, these kids are coming across half court and shooting threes, like literally. Like they're not trying to fast break. Nobody's in the paint no more. Mid range is gone. It's all either dunks or 3-pointers, and Steph kind of ushered that in. So I can kind of see him, if they put something around him in the next year or so. He's 35, I think 36, but his cardio is off the chain. Like if he just continues to do what he does, he can play another 4 or 5 years. Durant is the one that I'm kind of stuck on in terms of like, what is his legacy going to be in the end? Like, especially if he keeps bouncing around from team to team.
I mean, the thing is, no matter how much you dislike it, his legacy is going to be as one of the greatest scorers of all time in the history of the game. Like, it's just what it is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's a top 25 player, in my opinion.
No, it's going to be higher than that because he is the most scorer of the basketball.
I don't know.
I'm telling you right now. Like, he's Kyrie, but he's built like Wilt Chamberlain. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he's like 6'11", can shoot over everybody. I mean, I've never doubted his scoring ability. I've just kind of
like, I understand your point, and so that's going to keep him out of that top 5, top 10 range.
Never won an NBA Finals without Steph Curry.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to be outside that top 10, top 5 range just because of that aspect of it. But 11, 12, 13, 14, you're going to have a hard time finding a better basketball player than Kevin Durant.
And I can say, when I say top 25, he's somewhere in there, in that area. But like
11, 12, 13, 14.
J, or you know what I mean? Like
11, 12, 13, 14, Des. That's his range.
That's pretty high. That's pretty high for a brother. He made the finals since what was that, 2019? I think it was last time with the Warriors. So shout out to PJ, shout out to B-Dot. We were dealing with some travel stuff, both of them dealing with their kids today. They still were gracious enough to come on. You can watch this entire episode on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio. We'll have another show a little bit later on in the week. They'll be NFL centric. We'll have in some folks from there. We'll talk Panther rookie minicamp and much, much more. But for Jalen Gilkey, this is Desmond Johnson. You guys need to get back to work. I held y'all a little bit longer than I meant to. So everybody get out of cubicles, get out of the lunchroom, go to work. Everybody get going. We will see you a little bit later on this week here